please.
Thank you.
We just have a few handouts which I could pass on maybe here and there. Thank you, Daniela. Thank you. Thank you, Pietro, for the introduction. I think this is, like Pietro mentioned, my second trip to Eritrea. The first one was about 6 months back. And the hospitality, the warmth of the people here is amazing. I was discussing with my team, they've been here for around 2 months now, that Eritrea has started to feel like a second home. And so nice to be here amidst all the guests, all the esteemed delegates. One thing that this gathering proves is that an industrial revolution which is powered by innovative, clean solutions is important and has now begun to happen. It is just the beginning. We are all going to share in the benefits of clean air, clean energy, sustainable food for all. In fact, I believe clean energy is one of the biggest equalizers. The sun shines equally in the city and in the villages. The wind which blows across the continents and oceans does not see the GDP of a nation. It is still the same wind that blows across the countries. And it is this equality that can help developing countries like India, like Eritrea, to tap the power of renewable energies and to then leapfrog into a bigger success. Right? I think in the recent COP event, I think one of the guests had a really good statement that the future belongs to the clean energy. We need to understand and use clean energy so that we can build a better world for the future generation which has a better standard of living and a modest carbon footprint. And this future will then be dictated not by fear but by hope, right? So in this hope of creating equality, in this hope of getting clean energy, what Pietro has said and gotten clean energy to Eritrea, I'm just going to take 2 minutes to briefly describe what we've done so far and what is the vision of Pietro and Zaire in the future, right? So we can move on. I'll just talk about the background, solar in India, what we've done over here, and future steps. Next, please. We can go. The electricity access in Eritrea has historically been not really great. It has been progressing a lot in the recent few years. Next, please. India, like all of you know, has led to form the International Solar Alliance along with France. The goal is to mobilize more than $100 billion of investment towards clean energy solutions by 2030. And as of 2019, India has been the cheapest solar provider across the world. The costs have fallen down by more than 85% in the last 10 years. Next. So here's what we did. Here's what we took the benefits that the Indians have in terms of solar. We took all the vision and the guidance that Zaire had to offer to us to come to Eritrea. And here is what we've done in the last few months. When we came here, the biggest thing was energy was intermittent and energy problem was one of the biggest issues for any industry. A detailed engineering was required to understand the load patterns, currents, voltages, fluctuation with the sun, etc., etc. So what we do is we are a tech-focused company specializing in engineering. Did a lot of engineering. You can see this is the roof of their plant. I think we are somewhere over here. I guess right now we are somewhere. Over here, sorry. It's not there in the image, but we are sitting over there, identifying different parts of roof and how much energy each part could give. So you can see the color code. There's yellow, green, which is good for solar, and then the red one is not as good for solar. Next. After a lot of engineering discussions, we've installed currently 325 kilowatt of rooftop solar has been installed. These are just some rough numbers. The diesel savings when we ran the test for the first few days was around 33%, but now as the plant is stabilizing, the diesel savings have been 50%, and we are expected the diesel savings to go even higher in the coming few days. An approximation that we have is 9 lakhs or 900,000 nafkas are going to be saved each year. This may again go ahead in the coming few days based on stabilization And most importantly, I think if we are here, we obviously care about clean energy. This plant alone itself will save more than 455 tons of CO2 emissions each year, which is equivalent to planting 76 trees annually. Next. And anything which is good or which is happening for the first time does not come easy, right? Neither was this project easy. Pietro will agree, when we were about to start the project, the entire world was hit by immense supply chain disruptions, which was silicon, right? Very few nations control the entire silicon supply chain, and solar panels, which are the major component of our plant, was no exception to this. So we overcome various supply chain challenges, different fluctuations. The second thing was that this plant has integrated the factory, the entire factory load, the diesel generator, the electricity grid, we call it ELPA, and the solar. So this intelligent device is, depending on how much production we want to achieve, will then control diesel generator, will control the solar output. If there is no electric supply, sometimes it will accordingly guide and dictate the different parameters and hardware. So this was the first time that was done in a private project here, in a private solar project here in Eritrea. And there was a lot of data and a lot of back and forth, etc. that was required for this. And then third one, we've all been through it. We all know it. There was various team members who were having COVID, etc. But I'm happy to say that despite these challenges, when we started the project in November, we have finished the project as of Feb end, which is a 3-month project, and we tried to really hurry up and cover up all challenges. Next. One of the biggest things which Pietro made abundantly clear in the beginning is that there has to be some benefits involved even locally, right? So one of the things that was mentioned in the negotiations in the beginning was that we need to be training the local people. We need to be creating employment opportunities, because solar in this part of the world is an emerging technology, right? And if we are able to create that kind of capacity over here, we can harness or we can unleash the entire potential of the sun. So we've been training a lot of local people. Next.
Can I add? I think we involved in the beginning a local company, and we have to thank her, because really we have been very well supported. Yeah, and for them, and we openly, as usual, we are very open. So we said, you want to come here, you want to learn more, you want to ask more. That's an opportunity to learn, because that is the key. I mean, this is the strength that Eritrea, if Eritrea has a chance to learn and to get experience, it will for sure accelerate in any progress. So I have to thank you, actually you and the team, because really you work very
Not only Pietro and his team, but a big thank you from the entire country of India, from WRS team. You guys have been super instrumental in helping us complete this project. So thank you so much. Next. Like I mentioned, the diesel expense has reduced. We have exact numbers. We are glad to share exact numbers when we go down on the plant. The diesel has considerably dropped down, and it is expected to drop even further. It is obvious that it will also save valuable forex for the Eritrean government, because we are reducing the diesel consumption as well. Next. I want to thank you guys, Pietro, for allowing us to experiment a little bit, right? We figured out after coming here that water is a scarce resource. Not only here, I think everywhere across the world, water is a scarce resource. What we are doing is, these solar panels need cleaning, because if there is dust, that hampers the generation. So whatever water is going to be used for cleaning, we have now developed for the first time water reusing systems. We have gotten some new technology, water softeners, which will also soften the water so that the same water can be reused again and again in future. And then I think the last one is really important. This project was possible because of a vision that Zaid had. And what does that vision entail for the future? So a few things that we've been discussing so far in terms of where we want to go in the future. We are definitely looking to reduce our diesel consumption, right? Why not? If solar can offer that opportunity, absolutely. We have already started to evaluate clean sustainable, and more importantly, future-ready technologies like lithium-ion batteries, energy storage, and different forms of energy storage. Very importantly, like I mentioned, engaging with the local community, helping them, letting them help us is a very big part of this project. And more importantly, in the context of the communities that we are working in, capacity building, skill training, skill development, and increasing the job opportunities that we provide to the local community is something that is definitely on the top of our agenda for the future. With that, I don't want to speak a lot. I will leave the room.
I will add only two points. We don't consider one other advantage that we had is that when we had to run for like 4 hours, 5 hours a day, the generator, we couldn't fill all our machines. So we were forced to make night shifts that are not controlled and so on and so on. Now, with the combination, with the synchronization of the generator and the solar, we can run all the machines and we cancel basically the night shift. That is one advantage. The other that we need to find a solution and we discuss with ELPA and with the government, I would say this, we can support with extra power the Erinat cooperative, but why we throw away power? We are throwing away power in this moment because we cannot put in the net the overproduction, so we need to run the generator to stabilize. So basically at a certain peak of time, we throw away power. That is in a country that needs power doesn't make any sense. So we will try to work so that we find a solution to put. We don't want to, let's say that for us, when we just don't we don't consume from the grid, and the extra power we can give to the local community. In Godaif, for example, to do some social. So that could be, we don't want to sell the extra power. We want, but throwing away in a country like this is what, when yesterday I was at the restaurant and I see too much food, thanks Beraki, but at the end, this extra food, I'm sure it is not thrown away. Now, to throw away kilowatt, I mean up to probably 100 kilowatt, like this doesn't make sense. So we will hopefully find a way and work with ELPA and the government and work with the local community so that we give to the local community. This is another thing. You are too far away. You can recharge batteries here. You bring your batteries, your bicycle.
One question.
Yes,
Of course, this is very interesting and it is very appealing, not only on a wide range like factory or government level, also for private homes and people. So, of course, this is the future. But when you install such a big plant, you need maintenance and you need to follow up because I believe they are using batteries.
yes.
The technical evolution of batteries has been going very fast in these last years. This is why the first solar plants are already obsolete, especially because of batteries, and now there are these super batteries. In this this program, your company is providing also after-sale maintenance and services and they are coming from India, or you are providing skills to the workers here?
Yes, that's an important question, and I will answer that in two parts. One is in terms of operation maintenance. It is equally important to do a good operation maintenance as a good engineering is, right? You cannot have a good car that does not run. We are working with the local team members over here. We have created SOPs, we have created different formats. We have gone to the detail of creating checklists of activities that need to be done every 15 days, monthly, every 3 months, and every 6 months. These include electrical checkups, mechanical checkups, some with machines, some without machines, and simple things like how we should even clean it. In fact, Akil, I was speaking to a couple of people from your team, and they have been doing some work on an 8 megawatts plant over there, which is in the neighborhood. So a lot of members from his team are already aware of some basic operation maintenance activities, and we will continue to do that. And secondly, battery is very, very important. It is need of the future. We have not integrated the battery yet. We are evaluating different battery technologies. sir, because like you mentioned, we want to ensure we go for the best battery technology for this country. The second reason why we did not hurry up to install the battery is we have installed at least 12 multifunction meters right now. I'm glad to show it to you. We have collected a lot of rich data in terms of how the load is fluctuating, in terms of how the load varies on Saturday versus a weekday, in terms of when the grid supply is off. So now, one of the things I'm going to do when I'm back in India, apart from catching up on sleep, is to run all these numbers, do data analysis, and see what kind of best battery can be included. There would be multiple parameters like charge rate, discharge rate, life cycles, ramp up, ramp down, and then we will be giving a few options to them for the batteries.
By the way, sorry to insist, but I mean, the components of the solar system, not only batteries and inverters, but even the panel, how long they can last? I mean, you can replace them, or at a certain point, this plant will be old. So what will be the next step? To replace it completely, or you can add pieces and try to repair parts or to change old parts with new one. So how long is the life of one of these solar panels?
So the life of the solar panel, as promised by the manufacturer, is it has a 10-year warranty against manufacturing defect and a 25 years warranty over performance. So they are two different, but we've seen the panels last for 25 years. After around 12 to 15 years, their performance starts to degrade very, very fast. The inverters around 7 to 10 years. The batteries, depending on what kind of technology we use. For example, the old lead acid battery had a life cycle of about 1,000 life cycles. So one charge and one discharge is one life cycle. The moment you run 1,000, the more advanced ones have 3,000, 5,000, etc. And solar is really scalable. I can decide to add 15 panels and just increase my capacity. Yes, sir.
So you addressed the issue of maintenance, of course, and replacement as time goes by. Of course, they have to be replaced bit by bit. Training, that's another side of it. That, of course, ideally the country should have its indigenous capacity in terms of engineers, technicians who monitor the functioning of the system. Now, so that requires an effort to train personnel here. That's a capacity that thereafter could be used, of course, elsewhere in the country, because the country is going go for solar all over the country extensively. So if you make an investment here in training personnel, of course, that will be important also for the future and could be used. So could you just outline a little bit how the training of technicians, engineers look like in your planning?
Yes. I'm going to take an example of what we have done in India. In India, the Ministry of Skill Development, MSD, and the Ministry of Entrepreneurship Development have a program which has been running around for about 5 years now. It is called as Surya Mitra, which translated into English means friend of solar or friend of sun. And the idea of implementing this program or funding this program was to develop capacity building in India. I have been a certified trainer for the Surya Mitra program, and we've trained more than 1,500 participants across India. We've conducted these courses by myself. I'm talking about. There are many other certified trainers of the same program, and they've created a lot of opportunities. The way we did this in India was we were imparting trainings on two different ways. One is how to understand solar and sell solar, the business sense of understanding the solar benefits and convincing our customers. And second, like you pointed out, is to look at the maintenance, the engineering, the design, the operations, the more engineering part. So all of these courses are split into two different parts. One is the business part, the financial part, and the second is the technical and technology part. And along with the PNTRO and a few other Eritrean ministers that we have met, I was also speaking to the Honorable Ambassador last night when we met him, is that we are looking to involve more and more stakeholders in the country and see how we can implement our learnings from India, the capacity building program learnings, to the local over here. and glad to get input from you guys as well on this front. Yeah.
Follow-up question. Can you put a price tag on the different components? Because one is, of course, the capex, the initial investment cost. If this project is going to be related somewhere for smaller companies,
Yeah.
they need to fund more calculated on the auto depends on the capex, the initial investment cost.
Yeah.
And the related issue is the current cost, because Mark was referring to the life cycle of the materials as a direct observed, and if the life cycle is short, it will be reinvested. And whether that can be offset by the savings that you get is another matter. So, in terms of price,
So for pricing, we are still calculating the final number that we have for this project, but in terms of savings that you mentioned, are the savings going to be significant? I think the initial results are saying 60,000 USD or 900,000 nafkas per year. One of the exercises I have lined up for today evening is sitting with Daniela, understanding the electricity bills. We obviously have seen them in the past as well, but now we are looking at the bills and seeing how much more savings can we actually quantify. Typically, the world benchmarks are, this could differ for Eritrea, is that for solar, particularly whatever investment we're putting, it should come back between 3 to 4 years of time.
So the cost of the investment will be saved in
Yes,
4 years.
yeah, that's a benchmark. Between 3 to 4 years, one should be able to recover the money.
So that's why basically in the panels and inverters, that's sure you pay back without problem. When we go into batteries, we need to be careful. Okay, because that's why we say let's wait, let's do it. And with data, you can also understand the world batteries. If you don't have data, for example, in the morning here we have no production, and after at a certain time, moment of the day, you have a 95% production. That in any country they will not be having. Or we couldn't see exactly, but when they tried to experiment, we reached 92% in the initial days, and with the panels not clean. So I can imagine we can reach more than 95%. So the battery has to be selected carefully to see if it makes sense, if it's payback, because it can be that it's better to work like this. Even Eritrea has some projects, and besides the European one that is with battery, okay, with Tesla battery, so it's like Ferrari. Okay, the other projects are just synchronization of solar and DG. And that's it. Or, as we have seen in next to Adalo, it's solar giving to the grid. That's it. What we produce in near 30 kilometers from here is giving to the grid, so giving the power to the grid. Okay. But others in some sub-zone, some like in gas park, agricultural, or so, they are solar and generator. But generator will consume much. For example, we could even go for a lower generator. We should probably have a lower generator for periods like this that is sunny.
Yes.
We will study the next step because we want to continue. But the result is that already now, with saving of power in the morning, saving of diesel in the afternoon, and most of all, that for us is the major advantage. Stability of supply, so that at the end we don't have to make double shifts, night shifts, and so on. So or turn off this machine, that machine, and one make a war with the other because you have stopped my ironing and not your ironing, and so on and so on. So all these three things together says that it makes sense to go for it. And the only battery has to be really studied carefully in terms of payback before you go into that.
So I think we should add another benefit in the slides of solar is that the interdepartmental, there's no more fighting, there's more peace, peace on the plant because of solar. Yes, sir.
Just one more question, because you mentioned a very interesting aspect, which is to enable the community here to use the excess production that otherwise would be wasted. What does it take to actually make it happen? Is it a matter of decision, technical? I don't know what is required to. Does it require specific investment to enable the community to use the excess
Yeah.
productions?
Yeah.
How does it look like? Does it require further investment?
In my mind, I can think of 2 to 3 things that are required to enable the local communities. The first one, very obviously, is the willpower of the authorities and the local people to really want to improve their lifestyle, standard of living. Second is innovation, and I will say why innovation. So Pietro has mentioned that, whatever excess they have, they could sell to the grid. Another thing that we have already discussed is there are so many employees working at Zaire plant. We already have a rooftop solar here. We have done something similar in India and it has been a success. And what have we done? All the employees are getting a small portable battery which weighs less than 2 kgs. That battery has 2 lights. If someone wants a bigger battery, we have the capability of integrating 2 lights along with a small fan to the same battery. Now when the employee comes to work in the morning, the employee gets the battery along with her or him. The employee is working while the sun is shining. The employee can just plug in the battery to the solar plant, do her work, and in the evening when she's about to leave or when he is about to leave, the employee goes back with charged battery. And then this battery will power her entire house in the evening and in the night. This was also implemented in India very successfully in different schools. A few rural areas had problem that children did not want to come to school. So what we did was we kept the panels in the school, and if the students wanted light in their home, it was important for them to come to school and charge their battery. So you need to have so many innovative models to it. Pietro is also speaking to another company which is as you bicycle, you're also getting healthy and charging your battery. So innovation definitely yes. And what I'm saying people might have different perspectives on what I'm saying next. But our experience in India when we work with the rural communities has been that whenever we have donated anything for free, we've just given it to them, people don't seem to value it. So you need to also have some financial models, subsidized, funded, you can name it whatever you want, but you need to have some subsidized financial model where in the end customer from these communities are investing a minute portion into the solar panel or the battery, etc. And the remaining can be funded through different organizations and different methodologies. There's a peer-to-peer group lending, there's a group lending program where self-help women come together and take a loan. So if one person of the self-help group is not able to pay the EMI for 1 month, her friends help her out in that month, and then she repays back to her friend in the coming month. So there are different innovative business models.
For example, we still need to cover the technical part of it, but probably it will be easier to give to HELPA the power. And we can say, okay, we pay 0 bill to HELPA, we don't get paid for the power we give to HELPA. That amount of money we give to the health clinic and to the kindergarten of the Todai district. That will be easy, something like this, and we will do it openly, clearly, and the number are there. So that will be very easy, because we don't pay that, we have 0 bill, we have a credit, but we give this credit to there is a clinic, there is a community of Todai, and we can support them.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
When you come to my place and put
Everybody needs incentives, as you said.
There is a short list of items, so you may be last in the queue.
I am ready to cycle.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. So now we have energy for our party.